The East End's not just a destination, it's an experience.
Join us to see what makes summer so special here on the East End.
Watch the East End Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9:30, streaming on News 12 New York. CNN is reporting that Wall Street Journal reporter and Princeton native Evan Gershkovich and former US Marine Paul Whelan are expected to be released from a Russian prison.
It's part of a massive prison swap deal. Both have been convicted in Russia of espionage, despite objections by the federal government that neither were spies.
Gershkovich has been detained for about a year and a half, while Whelan has been in Russian custody for more than 5 years. No word yet on any of the other people involved in the swap.
Hey everyone across the tri-state, I'm meteorologist Addison Green. I have your latest weather outlook for the day ahead, and it is going to be a steamer of a day with temperatures rising to around 90 degrees in places like Connecticut, but even warmer across Westchester County and central New Jersey. It's a little bit cooler across portions of central and eastern Long Island though, but there will be a chance for seeing a pop-up shower storm in the afternoon hours. In the morning hours, it is quiet, but it's going to be a warm start to your day. We have a steamer of a day ahead towards lunchtime. Temperatures already feeling in the low to mid 90s. Here comes that passing shower, isolated thunderstorms closer towards 6 o'clock. They will fade away. Then on Friday, it is more of the same coming through, but that change for seeing pop-up showers and storms will be running a little bit higher, pushing in from New Jersey during the afternoon hours and then starting to fade away towards the evening time frame. But we still have to deal with unsettled weather for the day on Saturday, Sunday as well. We see the unsettledness fade away, but the heat lingers as we go into Monday of next week.
Family will come together to mourn the loss of a man who was stabbed to death in the lobby of his own building in Kingsbridge Heights.
Yeah, News 12's Marissa Santorelli is there where a makeshift memorial has formed with details on today's vigil. Marissa.
That's right. There is a candlelit vigil behind me here at 2448 University Avenue, all in memorial for Christian Torres, who was killed yesterday in this building, a life cut too short. The family tells us they're hosting a vigil tonight at 7 p.m. to honor and remember his life. Police say they responded to calls of a stabbing yesterday afternoon, just after 1:30. When they arrived at 2448 University Avenue, they found 34-year-old Christian Torres stabbed in the chest. He was rushed to Barnabas Hospital, where he died. Torres' mother, his fiancée Tasha, and friends were all here yesterday, overcome with emotion. Tonight, friends and family will be gathering at this candlelit memorial to recount stories and memories of Torres. A woman I spoke with says she's lived here for years and that Torres has been nothing but kind to her.
I feel so sad for the guy, because he always said to me hi when he saw me on the stairs. It was so surprise for everybody here, because you never think that thing like that is going to happen here.
Police tell us they currently have no suspects in custody, and for the family, they say they're hosting a vigil here outside of his building tonight at 7 p.m. That's the very latest from Kingsbridge Heights. Marissa Santorelli, News 12, the Bronx.
Marissa, thank you. Of course, News 12 will be at that vigil tonight as we continue to follow this tragic story. And new this morning, another violent attack reported on our subways. Police say a man was slashed in the face overnight after two guys tried to go through his bag. This happened on board the 4 train at the 167th Street station. Here's Citizen video we're showing you of the police response. What we know right now is that police say 2 suspects initially backed away after failing to get through the man's stuff, and there was a confrontation with him. But as the train pulled into the station, one of the guys slashed the 51-year-old victim. He was taken to the hospital in stable condition, thankfully, but the suspects are still on the loose. And as Brooklyn deals with that extremely hot weather, you might notice lifeguards at our beaches later at night.
Yeah, it's important. It comes as the mayor announces new safety efforts in the wake of recent drownings.
That's right. News 12's Faith Graham joins us from Coney Island with what this means for swimmers. Faith, extra hours of lifeguards here.
Yeah, good morning, Noel and Nadia. That is exactly right. Now, for many, this extremely hot weather that we're already feeling this morning means a trip to the beach. Unfortunately, it also means the possibility of drownings. That is why Mayor Eric Adams says lifeguards will be extending their hours during heat advisories on days like today, but that does not necessarily mean you can swim any later past 6 p.m. Now, the city says they put together a skeleton crew of around 66 lifeguards. They'll remain at their shacks until 8 p.m. The water will still close at 6, but they'll be there in case of an emergency. This all comes barely 1 month after 2 teenage girls drowned here in Coney Island. Beachgoers we spoke with this morning have mixed reactions about the new hours.
I think there's going to be a lot less reports of people drowning.
We've lost over many, many years a great deal of coverage. And unfortunately, even with the tragedies, we're still in a backwards position. So we're playing catch up with what had always been the case.
Now, above all, the safest thing you can do today for your health is to stay indoors. If you don't have access to air conditioning at home, the city says their cooling centers will be open. In Coney Island, Faith Graham, News 12.
All right, Faith, thank you for keeping an eye on that. Stay cool out there for us.
All right, new information just this morning. Police confirm an officer was hit by a car last night in Cypress Hills. They say it happened after a driver ran away and fled during a traffic stop. Blocks away at Pitkin Avenue and Powell Street in Bushwick. Police tell us that the driver then hit the officer by the entrance of the Jackie Robinson Parkway. They say the officer was treated for bruising and scrapes at the hospital. A new video just in this morning of a wild truck fire overnight on the Gowanus Expressway. I mean, take a look. Imagine driving past that. First responders say this happened near exit 21 in Sunset Park on the west side just before 11 last night. And they tell us, amazingly, nobody was hurt.
Today, the driver charged in the deadly Deer Park nail salon crash is due back in court.
As we've reported, sources confirmed to News 12 now that a grand jury indicted Stephen Schwally on murder charges. News 12 Long Island's Liz Burke is in Riverhead, right outside of the courthouse, with the latest. Liz.
Good morning, Rich. And this was a tragedy that shocked the Deer Park community and beyond. The court proceeding is scheduled to start this morning, and that's where Stephen Schwally is expected to be arraigned. As we previously reported, source confirmed to News 12 that a grand jury indicted Schwally on murder charges. Police say he drove drunk and crashed into the Hawaii Nail and Spa on Grand Boulevard in Deer Park. 4 people were killed. Several others were injured. According to police, Schwally's blood alcohol content was nearly double the legal limit. Schwally previously pleaded not guilty to a misdemeanor DWI charge before the new murder charges.
I'm just glad that it's finally being done. When I saw that it was just going to be a misdemeanor, I thought it was true. It didn't make sense to me.
After today's court proceeding, the Suffolk County DA is expected to provide information on the investigation. Reporting in Riverhead, Liz Burke, News 12, Long Island.
It's been months since rideshare drivers began getting logged out of their apps during idle periods, preventing them from booking new fares right here in Manhattan and around the other boroughs. Now, Mayor Adams has announced an agreement with Lyft and Uber to restrict these lockout periods. In June, Uber began locking rideshare drivers out of their apps mid-shift in an effort to lower minimum pay rates. Many drivers saying this change prevents them from booking new fares, sometimes for up to 8 hours at a time. Today, Mayor Adams announced an agreement with Uber and Lyft to drastically reduce these lockouts that drivers say prevent them from making money. In a statement, he said, quote, "We will always go to bat for working class New Yorkers, and the deal we've secured today will put money in the pockets of hardworking drivers and help them continue to afford to live life in the greatest city in the world." However, executive director of the Taxi Workers Alliance says the agreement isn't a compromise, but a corporate giveaway.
it's a sham. You know, they're not ending the actual crisis. There's no real pathway to make sure these companies never do this again. And drivers remain underpaid. It's just not acceptable.
She went on to note that no compensation of income has been given to these drivers given the last few months. Now we're told that Uber is set to begin these restrictions immediately with the goal of ending them entirely by Labor Day. We're in Harlem. I'm Jordan Kisane.
This neighborhood here on the west side of Manhattan is in need of some serious help. That's according to Councilmember Eric Bottcher, who's asking Mayor Eric Adams to expand a special program that aids people with mental health issues.
I'm calling this a humanitarian crisis.
Councilmember Eric Bottcher is sounding the alarm about a growing crisis in his district.
It's not uncommon in our community to see people on the street suffering from untreated mental illness. People engaging in intravenous drug use in public.
Bottcher says the issue has only gotten worse since the 2020 pandemic. Problem areas include West 4th Street in the Village, 21st Street and 8th Avenue in Chelsea, and side streets in Hell's Kitchen. It prompted him to send a letter to Mayor Adams pushing for the expansion of the Be Heard program, which sends mental health professionals along with EMTs to respond to 911 calls about mental health crises.
In our district, local cops respond to 911 calls for medical health crises, and they're not equipped.
The Be Heard program was launched in 2021 in Harlem. It's now expanded to Washington Heights, Inwood, and parts of the Bronx. According to recent city data, in the first 2 years of operation, Be Heard responded to over 9,000 911 mental health calls. In response, a City Hall spokesperson emphasized Mayor Adams' commitment to addressing severe mental illness proactively. The spokesperson said, "We're engaging with people suffering from severe mental illness, substance use disorder, and unsheltered homelessness where they're at." But for Bottcher, he says this is personal.
When I was 15 years old, I spent a month in a mental health hospital in upstate New York after a series of suicide attempts. That treatment saved my life, but that treatment is unavailable to the vast majority of New Yorkers, especially people who are poor, people of color.
And that City Hall spokesperson acknowledged Bottcher's concerns, but no mention directly if that Be Heard program will be expanded. In Manhattan, Edric Robinson, News 12 New York.
Well, Hoboken police are looking for a serial groper riding an e-bike who is grabbing women in broad daylight. Several incidents took place all within an hour on Tuesday afternoon at 3 different locations across the city. Now we have a map showing those locations. That includes the intersection of 2nd and Garden Streets, Garden and 1st Streets, and Willow Avenue and 7th Street. Police say these separate incidents are each being investigated as criminal sexual conduct.
It's terrible, yeah. It's never want to see that. It's terrible.
I think that Hoboken prides itself on its safety, and then something like that happens, you said in the middle of the day, terrible. I think they need to do something about the e-bikes, not just overall for everything. Yeah, not good. Do not support that.
I've never heard of anything like that here. That's scary, and hopefully they can figure out who it was.
If you have any information on these incidents, Hoboken police are asking to give them a call.
A New Milford man remains in jail after being accused of trying to sexually assault a woman at the Riverside Square Mall in Hackensack. 30-year-old Craig Herbert made an appearance in court Wednesday morning. Police say on July 26th, Herbert followed a woman into the women's bathroom and tried to sexually assault her. The victim fought him off before he fled. He is due back in court this September. In West New York, security cameras catch a person shooting at parked cars in the lot of a used car dealership. Take a look. It's unclear if that person has been arrested or charged with anything this morning. This happened 10 days ago along 50th Street and Palisade Avenue. No word if anyone was hurt. We've reached out to police for more information.
A Muslim man is suing the owners of a Morristown bar after he says he was forcibly removed for wearing a turban. The alleged incident happened June 22nd at Homestead Bar and Kitchen. Justice Fitzgerald says a manager and a worker slammed him into a wall, cutting his arm and bursting a blood vessel in his eye. But The restaurant denies it happened and instead claims Fitzgerald assaulted staff. The restaurant saying in a statement, quote, regarding the recent complaint, we do not understand where this is coming from. Mr. Fitzgerald entered our establishment without any head covering and was asked to leave only after physically assaulting our security staff. The lawsuit was filed last week. Of course, we'll continue to update you as this story develops.
There are now new road safety measures in Orange County. A crash gate has been installed on I-84 at County Route 49 in Wawayanda. Its completion comes in the wake of last September's deadly bus crash that killed 2 people from the Farmingdale, Long Island school community. The access gate will give first responders a shortcut to the interstate and speed up response times. Firefighters have been calling for the gate for more than 20 years.
Turning now to a possible political shakeup in Rockland County. Sources are telling News 12 the Spring Valley mayor has fired the village treasurer. No word yet on why or what's next for that treasurer, Greg Smith. We have also learned 2 village employees were taken to the hospital for apparent panic attacks after an alleged outburst from the mayor. The mayor was not in Village Hall and the treasurer's office was closed yesterday. We also have not heard back from the mayor's assistant, a story that will continue to follow for you.
At the state capitol, Connecticut announced an extra $6 million to address the state's daycare shortage. The money will help child care centers like Watch Me Grow in Stamford. It will be distributed through the Women's Business Development Council. And daycare owners say they need all the help they can get.
It's a lot. I'd say playing with the children is about 10%. 90% is running the business and, overseeing the staff as well.
Well, these grants have already opened up 38,000 child care slots across Connecticut, creating 9,000 jobs. Norwalk police are investigating a brazen burglary caught on camera. Take a look at that surveillance footage right there. The thieves used a rock to smash the front door and get inside. It happened at the Clever Smoke Shop on New Canaan Avenue just before 1:30 Friday morning. They hit the register, stole merchandise. The owner says that he just opened 2 months ago and he couldn't believe it.
I'm very scared. Me, my wife, and my daughter. And my wife, she's pregnant like 5 months, so she's scared too.
Well, the thieves got away with cash and merchandise. The store's owner says the police also told him that the SUV that they were in was stolen. Now to Stamford, where police are trying to identify a person in connection with a burglary at a downtown business. Anyone who recognizes this person is asked to call police.
The stories of summer are on News 12.
Summer's in full bloom on the East End.
Summer was made for road trips. Hazy, hot, and humid air for everyone.
Go in the water, hang out on the sand, eat some good food.
That means summer's on.
Let's get it on.
Great weather and a great read. Now that is the making of a great summer day.
Turn to News 12 all summer long for the latest on what's sizzling across the tri-state. The stories of summer are on News 12.
Summer's in full bloom on the East End.
Summer was made for road trips. Hazy, hot, and humid air for everyone.
Go in the water, hang out on the sand, eat some good food.
That means summer's on.
Let's get it on.
Great weather and a great read. Now that is the making of a great summer day.
Turn to News 12 all summer long for the latest on what's sizzling across the tri-state. News 12 New York is giving new meaning to chilling this summer. Every weekend, binge watch the most gripping true crime stories that shock the world. Unravel chilling tales of murder and dive into every twisted clue of the real-life mysteries you'll only find on our original series, Crime Files. Brace yourself for a summer of the most captivating true crime stories. Watch the Crime Files Cruel Summer Marathons every weekend, only on News 12 New York. When news breaks across New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, turn to News 12 New York for live team coverage as the story unfolds.
This is impacting the entire city.
The cause of that fire still under investigation tonight.
A lot of beach erosion the last 24
You got everybody? Well, good afternoon. And this is a very good afternoon. A very good afternoon. Today we're bringing home Paul, Evan, also Vladimir. 3 American citizens and 1 American green card holder. All 4 have been imprisoned unjustly in Russia. Paul for nearly 6 years. Vladimir since 2022. Evan since March of 2023. And also since October of 2023. Russian authorities arrested them, convicted them in show trials, and sentenced them to long prison terms with absolutely no legitimate reason whatsoever, none. Paul, a former Marine, was in Russia for a wedding. Evan, a journalist with a Russian in Russia, was in Russia, assigned by the Wall Street Journal. Also a journalist, was in Russia to see family. All 3 falsely accused of being spies. And Vladimir was a Russian citizen by birth and holds an American green card. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and was a pallbearer at my friend John McCain's funeral with me. He spoke out against Putin's regime, and for that he was convicted of treason. And now, their brutal ordeal is over, and they're free. Moments ago, the families and I were able to speak to them on the telephone from the Oval Office. They're out of Russia. Earlier today, they were flown to Turkey, and soon they'll be wheels up on their way home to see their families. This is an incredible relief for all the family members gathered here. It's a relief to the friends and colleagues all across the country who've been praying for this day for a long time. The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined the difficult, complex negotiations at my request. And I personally thank them all again. And I've thanked them personally, and I'll thank them again. All told, Russia has released 16 prisoners. 8 Russians who are being held in the West will be sent home as well. These 16 prisoners from Russia that Russia has released include 4 Americans, 5 Germans, 7 Russian citizens who are political prisoners in their own country. One of those Russians runs a human rights organization, Memorial, which won a Nobel Prize in 2022. Putin threw him in prison for voicing opposition to the war in Ukraine. 4 others work with Alexei Navalny, a political opposition leader who died in Russia prison this year. Now they can live safely abroad and continue their work of advocating for democracy if they so choose. This deal would not have been made possible without our allies. Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey, they all stepped up and they stood with us. They stood with us. And they made bold and brave decisions, released prisoners being held in their countries who are justifiably being held, and provided logistical support to get the Americans home. So for anyone who questions whether allies matter, they do. They matter. And today is a powerful example of why it's vital to have friends in this world. Friends you can trust, work with, and depend upon, especially on matters of great consequence and sensitivity like this. Our alliances make our people safer, and we began to see that again today. Let me say this. It says a lot about the United States that we work relentlessly to free Americans who are unjustly held around the world. It also says a lot about us that this deal includes the release of Russian political prisoners. They stood up for democracy and human rights. Their own leaders threw them in prison. The United States helped secure their release as well. That's who we are in the United States. We stand for freedom, for liberty, for justice, not only for our own people, but for others as well. And that's why all Americans can take pride in what we've achieved today. I want to thank everyone in my administration who helped make this happen. Our work did not start just on day one. It started before day one. During the transition, I instructed our national security team to dig into all the cases of hostages being wrongfully detained, which were inherently, well, we inherited them from the prior administration. I wanted to make sure we hit the ground running, and we did. As of today, my administration has brought home over 70 Americans who were wrongfully detained and held hostage abroad. Many since before I took office. Additionally, I issued an executive order in 2022 authorizing penalties like sanctions and travel bans on those who hold Americans against their will. And my State Department has introduced new warnings for Americans about the risk of being wrongfully detained by a foreign government. Deals like this one come with tough calls, and there are never any guarantees. But there's nothing that matters more to me than protecting Americans at home and abroad. And so we'll continue to work for the release of all wrongfully detained Americans around the world. Let me end where I began, with Paul, Evan, and also Vladimir and their families. They never gave up hope. We can't imagine what they've been through, all of you. Matter of fact, this lady right here, I think, was living in the Oval Office with us for a while. All kidding aside, can't imagine their joy right now. They're home. Tomorrow's a big day. The 13th birthday of Miriam. Miriam, where are you? Come here. You all know we have a tradition in the Biden family. We sing happy birthday on any birthday. You ready? All of you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Miriam. Happy birthday to you. Remember, no serious guys till you're 30. God love you. She's Alsu's daughter. Now she gets to celebrate with her mom. That's what this is all about. Families able to be together again, like they should have been all along. So I want to thank you again to everyone who did their part. In just a few hours, we'll welcome home our fellow Americans. We're looking forward to that. God willing, we're going to be out at Andrews and get that done. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is a good day.
What did you say to them on the phone, sir? What did you say when they answered the phone on the other side?
I said, welcome almost home.
How do you keep countries, these so-called abductor states, from simply taking more Americans in order to get more of their prisoners home? How do you end these perverse incentives, sir?
Well, we're advising people not to go certain places. Tell them what's at risk, what's at stake.
Mr. President, there are no events at these negotiations, and can you speak to the complexity of working with 6 countries to secure these releases?
Well, look, I'm not going to take the time now, but I'll do this later in the week. I particularly owe a great sense of gratitude to the Chancellor. The demands they're making of me required me to get some significant concessions from Germany, which they originally concluded they could not do because of the person in question. But everybody stepped up. Poland stepped up, Slovenia stepped up, Turkey stepped up. And it matters to have relationships. It really does. These things matter. Pardon me?
Could this improve relations with Russia? Is there any avenue for that after this prisoner exchange deal?
As my sister might say, your lips to God's ears, man.
Did you ever speak directly with Vladimir Putin about this, or would you be willing to speak with Putin now directly?
I don't need to speak with Putin. Anyway.
How did you weigh that decision of letting somebody out who sounds like got away with murder tonight?
I got home innocent people. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody.
As a father, are you speaking with Erdogan or any of the leaders about this?
Say that again?
Are you speaking with President Erdogan or the leaders about this?
Yes, I've spoken to all the leaders about this.
What did you say?
And by the way, as a father, look, you heard me say this before, and I mean it. My dad had a simple proposition. Family is the beginning, the middle, and the end. Blood of my blood, bone of my bone. I can think of nothing more consequential. I mean it sincerely. And having lost family, not a different way, and not knowing what's happening, their circumstance with their accident, health, it matters.
Mr. President, what did Germany ask for in response for their cooperation?
Nothing.
President
What did Chancellor Scholz say?
President Trump has said repeatedly that he could have gotten the hostages out without giving anything in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump now? former president.
Why didn't he do it when he was president?
Sir, what did you
Thank you guys.
The stories of summer are on News 12.
Summer's in full bloom on the East End.
Summer was made for road trips. Hazy, hot, and humid air for everyone.
Go in the water, hang out on the sand, eat some good food.
That means summer's on.
Let's get it on.
Great weather and a great read. Now that is the making of a great summer day.
Turn to News 12 all summer long for the latest on what's sizzling across the tri-state. News 12 New York is giving new meaning to chilling this summer. Every weekend, binge watch the most gripping true crime stories that shock the world. Unravel chilling tales of murder and dive into every twisted clue of the real-life mysteries you'll only find on our original series, Crime Files. Brace yourself for a summer of the most captivating true crime stories. Watch the Crime Files Cruel Summer Marathons every weekend, only on News 12 New York. When news breaks across New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut, turn to News 12 New York for live team coverage as the story unfolds.
This is impacting the entire
The
city.
cause of that fire still under investigation tonight.
A lot of beach erosion the last 24 hours.
Stream live breaking news coverage whether you're at home or on the go.
Thank you so much for carving out this